feedback mechanisms in the world of facilitation. You've planned, you've turned up, you're working that plan, you're helping your team or the group of people in front of you deliver on their purpose. You're ensuring that they are getting what they need, right? Or at least what you think they need. Right? You're ensuring that everybody can participate equally. It's a good meeting. How do you improve? Hi, my name's John McFadyen. I'm a Certified Scrum Trainer with Scrum Alliance. I'm a managing partner at Agile Centre, and I've been in the Scrum and Agile world now for over 20 years. Feedback as a facilitator is very hard. Right? When do you ask for it? At the end? I mean, yeah, sure. Doesn't go that well, if I'm honest. I'm a big fan of asking for feedback at the end, but most people want to move on to the next thing. They're not there to give you feedback. So how do we structure it in a way that they do? I'm a huge fan of Agile Retrospectives, the book. There's a second edition out. I would recommend you grab it, even if you've got the first edition. There's even more interesting stuff in there. But closing the retro, that fifth stage, I've been a fan since I read it, and this light bulb went off in my head. At the end of any meeting, close the meeting with a very simple exercise. Don't take time, don't take effort. Certainly don't give them a survey to fill in. Right? It can be as simple as a scale of 1 to 5. Right? How good was this meeting facilitated, or how well was this meeting facilitated? Depends on your ability to speak English, which apparently mine is limited at the moment. How well was this facilitated? How could it improve? And that might be a dot on a post-it. And they might not even give you the post-it, but if they give you the dot, they can go. And I found it to be a really interesting way of gathering feedback. I've introduced it first in retrospectives, just asking people, various exercises. But on a post-it, just write me something that I can improve, something that you liked. I don't really care what you write. I care that it's something that I can take away and consider. And people do. I'm not sending emails out afterwards. I'm just saying in the moment, write something of feedback to me. Right? And I'm opening myself up to that. And it's scary. Even now, many moons after I first started doing it, I do suffer a little bit from that imposter syndrome. What if I really sucked? What if I was terrible? What if they don't like me? What if? I hope you don't suffer from that, but you might. I've never had anything really negative. I've had things that were critical. I've had things saying, I didn't like that. I'd have preferred this. You could be better at this. You could be better at that. And that's fine. But that fear of somebody saying, John, you suck, with nothing constructive about it, has never been realized. And, why it's still there, well, that's a different story. But it's one to give a go. It's one to build into how you approach any meeting. Is find a way that works for you, that works for your team. It doesn't have to be stick a dot and give me a post-it. It could be ping me an email. It could be whatever works in your context. So asking participants, not how the meeting went, but how you could improve. Because what I found is if you ask questions like, how did that meeting go? Yeah, it was a meeting. It's all right. Great. That's useless. I can't do anything with that. It's nice, strokes my ego a bit, and I'm all for that, but I can't improve because of it. I can't adapt my practice. Instead, I ask a question. I invite them to be critical if that's how they feel. And I would say I get a fairly even mix between things that say, I really like this, you did that well, you did that well. And people, and it more so with the more experience I've got, maybe people are harsher critics of people who have more time in the field. But of people saying, I didn't like that. This didn't work for me. I didn't like how you phrased that. You rushed us too much. Whatever it is, I can take it away. Right? Because it's my job to facilitate the meeting. It's my job to make sure they hit the point. Uh-huh. And I want to do that better every time. There's no difference to anything else in the Agile world. As Scrum Masters, as facilitators, as coaches, we should want to improve. And I deeply believe that. It worries me when I come across people who sit in our positions and don't actively seek feedback to improve. And what do I do with that feedback? Well, I think about it. After any big meeting that I run, I'm not talking every daily Scrum, but a planning meeting, a retro, a review. If I've got stakeholders and we're having a bit of a bun fight, whatever it is, afterwards, and it doesn't have to be immediately afterwards, but afterwards, within the next day, I'm going to take some time. I'm going to sit down. And if I've got feedback, I'm going to bring that into my thinking. And I'm going to run a mini retro. And I'm going to feedback on myself. It's not only other people who can feedback on how it went. If you're like me, you will be your harshest critic. You will be the person who knew what the plan was meant to be, knew how the exercises were meant to run, know which steps were missed, and you will bring them all in. Okay? This is not self-flagellation. This isn't about beating yourself up. This is about acknowledging the reality. It wasn't perfect. It could have been better. Right? And then asking yourself, okay, so this is what happened. This is what I thought would happen. This is why there's a difference. Maybe your timings were off. Maybe people resonated more with a question that you didn't think would kick off a big conversation, but it did, and it seemed important. All of these things help. What have I learned from that? So what did we do? What did I think we'd do? Why is there a difference? What have I learned? And crucially, and this is one that I added later, how do I reflect that in my practice? I am not only looking for learning. Learning is important. We want to do it. I am looking for tangible actions that I can take into the next meeting, or at least the next meeting like the one that I'm reflecting on, so that we have built into us, into our own practice, a way of continually improving facilitation, of taking feedback and systematically sorting it and acting on it when it makes sense. And for me, this is incredibly important. Yes, I want you to get feedback from the participants. Yes, I want you to give feedback in the meeting if it's appropriate. Okay? But most important of all, I want all the facilitators I work with, all of the Scrum Masters, all of the Agile Coaches, all of the product owners, all of the developers, it doesn't matter who you are or what your job title is, there's a real chance that you will be the person helping others come to their outcome. If that's you, I want you to have a systematic way to take feedback in, assess whether it's worthwhile considering or not, considering what is, and taking concrete steps to improve next time. Because then you're going to get better. Might take time, did for me, but you are going to get better.